September 22nd, 1979. Ufbür 53 hours. Over the lonely waters of the South Atlantic near the Prince Edward Islands, a silent American satellite stared into the darkness. Its name was Vela 6911, a spacecraft designed during the Cold War to watch the skies for signs of nuclear weapons testing. For years, the Vela satellites had been America's secret guardians. Their task: to make sure no nation, especially not the Soviet Union, was detonating nuclear devices in violation of treaties. They were precise, reliable, unblinking, but that night, one of them saw something no one has ever explained. The sensors lit up with a distinct pattern, a bright flash followed by a second, fainter one, what scientists called the double flash. To nuclear experts, it was unmistakable, the signature of an atomic detonation. But where? And by whom? The satellite's data suggested the explosion had happened somewhere near the remote South Atlantic, close to Antarctica, a place with no cities, no witnesses, only endless water and frozen islands. Within hours, the information reached Washington. The Carter administration went into crisis mode. A nuclear test had been detected, but the question was terrifying. Who had detonated a bomb in secret? The first suspect was South Africa. The apartheid regime had long been suspected of developing nuclear weapons, but rumors also tied the event to Israel, an undeclared nuclear state known for operating in shadows. Some whispered of a joint test, a secret pact between Pretoria and Tel Aviv. Yet the mystery deepened. Despite the satellite's double flash, no radioactive fallout was ever detected in the region. U.S. planes scoured the seas, searching for evidence. They found nothing. Officially, the White House concluded that the Vela satellite had malfunctioned, that the double flash was false data. But inside intelligence circles, no one believed it. The signature was too precise, too real, and then the conspiracy grew darker. Some analysts claimed the flash was not a nuclear bomb at all, but something stranger, a weapons test unlike any known device. Others, more daring, suggested the double flash matched not a human detonation, but something otherworldly. Because Vela satellites had not only detected nuclear tests. Over the years, they had also picked up unexplained bursts of gamma radiation, signals that scientists eventually traced not to Earth, but to the depths of the cosmos. Gamma ray bursts, explosions billions of light years away, unknown, violent, and now in 1979, a Vela satellite had once again seen something no one could explain. The truth was buried under denials and technical reports. But the fact remained, a U.S. satellite had captured evidence of an event so strange, so forbidden, that both America and Israel chose silence. President Jimmy Carter wrote in his diary, "There was indication of a nuclear explosion in the region of South Africa. Limited information, but sufficient to cause concern. Concern and silence." The Vela Incident remains one of the most enduring space-age mysteries. A light in the darkness, a forbidden flash. But what really happened that night in 1979? Was it a nuclear test hidden from the world? A secret pact between nations? Or was it something else? Something that came from above and not from Earth at all? The satellite's last photograph suggested something unusual in the clouds, an atmospheric disturbance not consistent with a bomb. And if it wasn't a bomb, then what was it? The answer lies in the shadows of the Cold War, in the hidden archives of Washington and Tel Aviv, and in the silence of the South Atlantic, where the sea still holds its secret. Because what Vela saw that night was more than just a flash. It was a message. And messages like that don't just vanish. The news of the Vela double flash sent ripples of panic through Washington. In the Situation Room, military advisors, intelligence analysts, and members of the Carter administration gathered in tense silence. On the table lay the evidence, the satellite's unmistakable record of a nuclear signature. For decades, the United States had relied on the Vela satellites to catch cheaters. The pattern they detected, the bright burst followed by the slower afterglow, was unique. It was nuclear. There was no other known explanation, but the stakes in 1979 were extraordinary. If the explosion was real, it violated the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. It meant one or more nations were secretly developing nuclear weapons, and it meant the US would be forced to respond. The first suspect was South Africa. Intelligence agencies had long suspected Pretoria of pursuing the bomb, aided quietly by foreign powers. Their apartheid regime was isolated, paranoid, and armed to the teeth. But the CIA's own records showed South Africa's program wasn't advanced enough to conduct an oceanic test of this magnitude. The second, more likely suspect was Israel. The Jewish state had never admitted to possessing nuclear weapons, but the world knew otherwise. Its policy of nuclear ambiguity was an open secret. Israel did not confirm or deny its arsenal, but every intelligence officer in Washington believed it existed. And if Israel had chosen to test a device far from prying eyes deep in the South Atlantic, they could have done so. Worse still, rumors swirled of a joint Israeli-South African pact. South Africa provided uranium and remote test sites. Israel provided advanced designs. Together they could defy the world. But if the double flash was theirs, why deny it? Why cover it up so quickly? As the investigation unfolded, inconsistencies appeared. U.S. Navy aircraft were dispatched to the supposed site of the explosion. They found no fallout, no trace of radiation. Weather satellites recorded nothing unusual in the atmosphere. Fishermen and shipping crews in the area reported no blinding flash. How could a nuclear explosion vanish without a trace? The White House formed a secret committee to study the incident. Its conclusion stunned many. The event was not a bomb at all. The official report declared the Vela satellite had malfunctioned. The double flash was written off as sunlight reflected off high-altitude clouds. But behind closed doors, not everyone agreed. The CIA quietly wrote that the evidence strongly suggested a nuclear test. Carter himself admitted in his diary that the explosion was real. Yet, for political reasons, the US chose silence. To accuse Israel publicly would shatter alliances. To accuse South Africa would expose Washington's failure to contain apartheid's ambitions. So, the truth was buried, and yet whispers continued to grow. Some scientists pointed to anomalies in the satellite data. The spectrum of light recorded by Vela did not perfectly match a nuclear blast. It was close, but not exact. Others raised a more unsettling possibility that it wasn't a human test at all. The Vela satellites had a history of picking up strange signals. Years earlier, they had detected bursts of radiation from deep space, events scientists eventually called gamma-ray bursts. For a time, the Pentagon feared they were secret Soviet weapons. In reality, they were cosmic explosions billions of light years away. Could the 1979 double flash have been something similar? An unknown cosmic event? Skeptics pointed out that no other satellites or telescopes saw anything that night. Only Vela recorded the event, and the pattern was too precise, too deliberate. It wasn't a random cosmic accident, it was local. It was here, which left only two explanations: a bomb or something stranger. Over the years, declassified documents revealed quiet battles inside Washington. The Navy insisted it was nuclear. The CIA leaned toward Israel. NASA and the White House clung to the malfunction narrative. Each branch had its own agenda. Meanwhile, the legend of the Vela Incident grew. Journalists uncovered Israeli cargo ships in the South Atlantic at the time, South African bases that had been cleared without explanation, and scattered reports of a blinding flash seen by remote fishing crews, though these accounts were buried quickly. But the most disturbing claims came later, from intelligence officers who hinted the event didn't match any known weapon. Some described it as an energy release of unknown origin. Others spoke of atmospheric disturbances that looked unnatural, as though the air itself had been torn apart. In the absence of answers, conspiracy theories flourished. Some said it was a secret Soviet experiment, a weapon far beyond nuclear technology. Others whispered it was not human at all, that the double flash was the signature of something entering our atmosphere, then vanishing. Whatever the truth, the US buried the incident. The Vela program was quietly retired. The South Atlantic returned to silence, and the final mystery of September 22, 1979 was left to rot in classified files. But denial cannot erase reality, because if it was a bomb, it means powerful nations lied to the world. If it wasn't, then something else happened that night, something stranger. And the most chilling thought of all, Vela may not have malfunctioned. It may have been the only witness to something Earth was never meant to see. The Vela incident should have been simple. A satellite sees a flash. Analysts confirm a bomb. The world condemns the guilty. But instead the truth dissolved into shadows. Too many inconsistencies. Too many silences. As years passed, researchers dug deeper into the mystery. They found threads that led not just to politics, but to something stranger. First were the whispers of a cover-up. In declassified reports, Navy analysts insisted the flash was nuclear. Yet the Carter administration chose a different narrative, not because they believed it, but because they feared the consequences. To expose Israel would fracture alliances. To accuse South Africa would spark outrage. Better to call it a glitch and bury the truth. But was the cover-up only political, or was there more hidden in the data? Some scientists noted that the flash recorded by Vela did not exactly match a known bomb. The pattern was similar, but the spectral data was off, as if it was a copy of a nuclear event, not the real thing. Too clean, too artificial. This gave rise to darker theories. Perhaps it was not a nuclear detonation, but a test of something else. A new type of weapon, one never admitted to publicly. A directed energy device, a fusion experiment, something powerful enough to mimic the signature of a bomb, yet leave no fallout. Others looked upward. The Vela satellites, after all, had a history of detecting the impossible. In the late 1960s, they recorded bursts of gamma radiation that baffled scientists. At first, the Pentagon feared they were secret Soviet tests, but later, astronomers revealed they were cosmic explosions from billions of light years away. Gamma-ray bursts, some of the most violent events in the universe. So what if the 1979 double flash was something similar, but closer? Some theorists suggested a meteor strike in the atmosphere. Others believed it was a natural phenomenon, lightning or solar reflection.
but no one could explain why the signal matched a nuclear signature so precisely. Nature does not usually imitate man's most destructive invention. And then came the alien whispers. In fringe circles, the Vela Incident became more than politics. The sudden burst of light, the lack of fallout, the absence of debris, it all suggested something non-human. Some claimed it was a craft entering Earth's atmosphere at impossible speed, glowing as it tore through the air before vanishing. Others believed it was the test of a weapon not from Earth at all. The most chilling theory pointed to the ocean itself.
The South Atlantic is vast, empty, and largely unobserved. Could something have risen from its depths that night? Witnesses on nearby islands reported strange atmospheric disturbances, a faint aurora in the skies. Unexplained, uninvestigated, it wasn't the first time the Vela satellites had caught anomalies. In 1972, one detected a flash near the Indian Ocean that was never explained. In the 1980s, declassified files revealed that some Vela detections were so bizarre, analysts joked they were UFOs with nukes. Always dismissed, always forgotten, but the 1979 double flash was different. It refused to be erased. The deeper the researchers looked, the more it felt less like an accident and more like a message, a demonstration, a reminder. If it was human, then it was a weapon test, so secret it was worth rewriting history to hide. If it wasn't, then it was something else entirely, something the Vela satellite should never have seen. The most haunting thought, Vela 6911, may have been the only witness to an event meant to stay hidden. A silent eye in the void, watching something vast and forbidden unfold over the ocean. And then, like the satellite itself, the truth was shut down. By the time the world forgot about the Vela incident, the silence had already spoken louder than words. No official blamed Israel. No evidence pointed at South Africa. No alternative explanation was ever proven, and so the double flash remained in limbo, half denied, half believed. But history teaches us that silence is rarely innocent. It is a choice. And in 1979, the choice was made to bury the truth. For President Jimmy Carter, the event haunted him. In his private diary, he admitted the signs pointed to a nuclear explosion. But in public, he bowed to politics. Israel could not be accused. South Africa could not be exposed, and so the most likely truth was erased, yet silence did not stop the questions. In 1980, the CIA quietly confirmed to select officials that the probability of a real nuclear test was high. Analysts in the Navy said the same, but no action was taken, because to acknowledge it was to risk war. But what if it wasn't a bomb at all? That possibility lingers like a ghost. Some physicists who studied the data admitted the light signature was too clean, too sharp, unlike any known detonation. And if the explosion wasn't human, then what was it? That question drags the Vela incident into a darker arena, because the satellites had seen strange things before. Cosmic bursts, gamma flashes, events no one could explain. Was the 1979 event another anomaly, something outside our understanding? Or was it a message? Imagine this, a craft, vast and silent, entering Earth's atmosphere over the South Atlantic. A burst of energy, a light that mimicked human weapons. And then, nothing. No fallout, no debris, no trace. A display perhaps, a warning. Some researchers believe it was deliberate, that the double flash was not a mistake, not an accident, but a performance. A way of saying, we are here, and we can do what you do better. If so, then Vela 6911 became not a malfunctioning satellite, but a witness to the unthinkable. It saw something humanity was never meant to record, and for that reason its evidence was smothered. The South Atlantic remains silent. No wreckage has ever been found. The islands near the flash report nothing. But silence can be deceptive. The ocean is vast, the sky is endless, and sometimes the absence of proof is not proof of absence. The Vela incident reminds us of something profound. That the Cold War, with its bombs and threats, may not have been the only shadow game played in those years. There may have been another audience, another power watching from the dark. If it was Israel, then we witnessed the birth of a new nuclear state. If it was South Africa, then it was a test erased by history. But if it was neither, then the 1979 double flash was something else entirely. And that is the most terrifying possibility of all, because if it wasn't ours and it wasn't theirs, then whose was it? The Vela satellite went silent not long after the event, its mission retired, its legacy reduced to classified reports, but the light it recorded remains. 2 flashes in the dark, a signature of something forbidden, and now, more than 40 years later, the question has never been answered. Was it a bomb, a weapon, a mistake? Or was it the night Earth was reminded that it is not alone? The Vela incident is a mystery locked between politics and the unknown. But one truth remains: satellites see what humans choose to deny. And in September 1979, the sky over the South Atlantic whispered a secret we were never meant to hear. The flash is gone. The silence remains. And somewhere in that silence the question still lingers. Not what did we see, but what saw us.